Good morning, welcome back to the shop. It's Wednesday. I don't really have too much going on the rest of the week, so all I've got right now is 2 deer mounts to finish up, and we'll get those shipped out hopefully tomorrow. So I'm just going to put you on a time lapse for the rest of the week. Then the next time I'll talk to you, it'll probably be Friday afternoon. So until then, enjoy the show. So I messed up, and when I put this gun rack together, I put it back together, or I put it together backwards, left to right. So in theory, you should be able to switch them left to right, but my pieces, my verticals, are just a little wider than 3/4 of an inch. So these drilled holes don't work out to be in the middle of the vertical piece. So that gives you this little edge here when you swap them. So I'm going to show you how I fix misdrilled holes, or it also works for, say, that hole stripped out when you put the screw in. You can put a little piece of wood in there to fix it. You can use a matchstick. You can use a splinter that you cut off a piece of wood, or whatever other little piece of wood you got to stick in there to fill that drilled hole, so that you can re-drill it or move that screw over just a touch. And it works every time. It's my wife's grandfather's. I don't know, I don't think he invented it, but it's definitely something that he taught me. So that was always been something that stuck with me. So let's get this fixed. I'll show you what I'm doing. So we'll take this back apart here. I'm just going to grab a scrap of oak here. I need a knife real quick. Okay, so I got my knife and a mallet. I'm going to cut a piece off here real quick, just a second. And then I just create a filler piece. And I put that in the hole, and I tap that in there as far as it'll go. And you just break the rest of it off. And get myself another piece. Be careful not to cut your fingers off. Sometimes you can get a real nice long splinter here. I don't need that much, so I'll break that off real quick. It's a little fat at that end. It's got to fit in the hole. but you want it pretty snug when it goes down in there. Okay. Just trim them off a little flush, get it nice and smooth. And in this case, since I'm trying to move the whole piece over, this other piece out of the way here for a second. We just simply put our screw in and line that up with the edge of that hole. And we're going to get ourselves pretty close to the edge there. Still not exactly where I want that to be. Get this lined up a little better here. There you go. Just get that position back where it goes. Nice and flush. And that's how you grow wood. So here's one of the gun racks that we just finished up. It's actually Alaska bound. Customer had me do this custom engraving on the bottom. Husband's a wildland firefighter, so that's pretty cool. I covered up their name just to keep them protected, but turned out really nice. Again, this is going to Alaska. Well, it's Friday. I finally made it. It's been a bit of a long week. It's been kind of a trying week on my end. Earlier this week I got a request from a large company that does outdoor furniture. And they have like a aluminum base that's all curvy and stuff, and then they have a wood top to it. It has slats, and they want to know if I could make 120 of these wedge-shaped slats. And I'm like, yeah, sure, send me the plans, and we'll take a look at it, get you a quote. Well, their plans include doing a template, that has to be cut on a CNC, which I have. But in my mind, like, why would you build a template and go to all that trouble when you could just cut it out with a CNC? When they wanted a template to run it through the table saw to cut the angles, and then they wanted another template that you screwed to the piece to use a router to cut out the final shapes, because the ends have some pretty specific arcs to them, so that when they're stacked together it makes a circle or a curve or whatever. But I was like, it's a lot of extra work to handle every piece like that, when I could just, all that needed to be done was the piece cut, 2 holes drilled in counterboard, and then do an 1/8 inch round over all the way around it and sand it. That's it. I mean, it was pretty simple. Plus they were going to use this I'll call it mahogany. That's not the right word for it. It comes from the Philippines. So I wasn't too excited about using a exotic hardwood, especially with a little bit of research. I found out that it's an endangered tree in the world. That's why mahogany is so bloody expensive, and you can't get it hardly. So I don't know what sources they were using. They were using mahogany because it's a good outdoor wood. But there's plenty of native to America woods that are really good for outdoors. White oak being probably my first choice. You could use cedar and stuff like that, but as far as honest durability for public seating, I would probably lean toward an oak of some sort. There might be some others out there that I'm not thinking of at the moment, but that's what I would use. But anyways, so I told them, well, the only way I'm going to do the job is if you get me wider boards so I can use a CNC, because they wanted to use the absolute bare minimum width, which is like 5.5 inches, which is the widest point on their part. And to me, this whole process was a pain in the butt. Anyways, so I figured out a price, what it would cost for me to do it with my CNC. I actually offered them a second alternative to get, if you got me an 11.5 inch wide board, we can nest 2 together, and then I can run 4 pieces at a time, which saves a lot of setup on the CNC, and there was actually less, from what I could see, there would be less waste than their way. But they didn't see it that way. They didn't want to do it that way. And the funny thing is they weren't having any luck finding anybody else in Indiana to do this job. Apparently, their end customer is in Indiana. I have no idea who that is. They do it for cities. So I'm guessing They kept saying Indianapolis, so I'm guessing was going to go in Indianapolis, which is fine. And I might have been willing to bend a little bit more if it was going to be a long-term relationship, but I think this was a one-off thing, so it's like, why am I going to go all the trouble and build these templates for a one-off time? I'm just not going to do that. It's not, for no more money than it really worked out to be, it wasn't worth my time. So it's hard for a small business to say no, but sometimes you have to. I look at that amount of time, basically it would have been, I'm going to say about 2 days of 2 days of shop time, at least one full day on my CNC. So, I mean, you fill in your labor costs, and you know you come up with a number. So it's not that big a deal. But for that amount of time, I can build a heck of a lot more other product and not be stuck trying to make this product for this customer and then deal with shipping and all that stuff. But anyways, so then on problem number 2. Yesterday, I get an random email from a person requesting 2 dining room tables. Red flag number 1. They want 2 tables. They were very specific about what styles they wanted. They wanted a farmhouse table and they wanted a modern rustic table. Okay. Both are in my wheelhouse. I could do this. Not extremely huge. I could do that. One was walnut, one was solid white oak. Okay, no problem. But then they also wanted to be able to pay me via ACH payment. Big red flag there. I'm not giving anybody my banking information. I work too hard for my money to be scammed out of it that easily. And then red flag number 3 was that they were relocating to a new city. So why would you, in my mind, why would you order a table out of state to ship to a different state, you know, and they're going to have a truck driver working for them, so he'll handle the pickup, yada, yada, and I could just, no. And it's just like, no. Yeah, it would be good money if I got the order, but I think it's a scam. So I had to say no to that one too, which is kind of a bummer. So if you guys are wanting something custom for me, for right now, if you don't live close to me, I'm probably not going to be your man. I've done custom furniture work and shipped it for repeat clients, people that I know are real. And that was another thing. Sometimes I Google the people that are like this that are trying to buy from me, and the guy that came up was like a world-renowned something or other. I can't remember what industry he was in, but that was the only person that came up, and I highly doubt this person was going to seek me out, my little shop. You know, it would be cool, but it's probably a scam. So anyways, that's how my week has gone. That's intermixed with all the work that I do here in the shop. So without further ado, let's finish up Friday. I've got 6 turkey mounts that I've made that you should have watched me make. They're all walnut. So I've got 6 turkey mounts to finish assembling, and then that'll be a wrap for this week. So let's get that done. So there they are, 6 very nice walnut turkey mounts. So that's going to be a wrap for this week. I hope you all enjoyed the video. We'll catch you on the next one. Be sure to like and subscribe, and make sure you mash that notification bell so you get the latest videos. Again, I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. You guys still here? I appreciate you watching, but really, by now you ought to be outside doing something. Get off your computer, put down your phone, go do something. Have a good weekend.